Good morning. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us this morning on the third day of May 2023. It's a Wednesday, midweek, and you are watching us via Cignal TV. And if you are, thank you very much for being subscribers of Cignal TV. And please put out the word there so that your friends, family, relatives, etc. can also join us here on Cignal. And for the rest of our viewers who are watching us via Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you are, whether you're in Canada, our Filipino friends in Canada, and of course in the United States, thank you very much for viewing us. I even heard of some people watching our program on YouTube in other countries. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much. And I do hope that you are all well. It's sunny out there, and it seems to be a promising hot day again. Kahapon po. Wow. Yesterday was hot, and from the looks of it and from what Pag-asa has been saying, we are just in the beginning of hot days. Anyway, thank you to PLDT, Home Fiber Optic Internet, Mr. Marco Borlongan, for your continued support of Agenda, which allows us to travel and to move about and broadcast from different places. So far, I've tested it in Baguio, I've tested it regularly in Batangas, in Lipa, and of course here in Capitolio, Pasig. So do join us today because today we hope to get more information from someone I consider a friend, not just a resource person for Agenda, but a friend who helps us understand our rights and what consumers need to know in terms of products that they buy, because I have been getting reports. I actually experienced it myself, where people buy electronic goods, buy cars, etc., go to certain business establishments, even talliers, and then they get short change, or they have issues with the way the business is done. So if you have experience, or if you've had bad experience regarding consumer products, if you've had bad experience regarding some business establishments or business owners, please join us today, because that is what today's agenda is all about. Okay, especially those about warranties and service centers. Okay. But before that, let's go to our daily starter. And today's daily starter comes from author Gretchen Rubin. Okay? And here it goes. Gabriel, if you would. Okay? Actually spending 10 minutes clearing off one shelf is better than fantasizing about spending a weekend cleaning out the basement. That's from Gretchen Rubin. Please, let's keep it there. For those of you who have been meaning to clear the bodega, to do some house cleaning, to clear your table of work, or clear your schedule of the overload that you are experiencing, well, Gretchen Rubin's advice actually makes sense. Thank you, Gab. Okay, actually spending 10 minutes. Kumbaga, wag mo nang pakyawin, wag ka nang managinip. Don't fantasize about, oh, I'm going to spend an entire weekend cleaning the cabinet. No, just take out one box or one bag, or remove one appointment, or go through the appointment list and say, okay, what is inconsequential, what won't make a difference, etc., and remove it. Because that's our problem. I have to confess, personally, I've been saying to myself, I got to start working on this particular project. And the project never moved. The project has been there since last year. And finally, yesterday, I said, I've got to move it, position it, because if I don't position it, it won't get done. Now, positioning things doesn't mean you get started. I could position a car and bring it to the farm and it will go nowhere and nothing will be done to it. So the same thing with your cabinets. Just moving things around won't make a difference. But removing something will clear some space. So whether it's relationships that you need to clear out, products you need to remove from your cupboard or your kitchen or your pantry, okay? Shoes that you need to take out of your cabinet. Alam ko po yung ang ating mga binibining mga kaibigan. Ako, masakit yun. But ladies and gentlemen, as the Bible says, put your house in order. And that is a frequent passage that many people come across. Because tomorrow, you may be meeting the Lord at yung pamilya mo, minumura ka, sinusumpa ka for leaving a ton of garbage. What may be treasures to you, okay, mementos, like yung mga bato na sinulatan mo ng Boracay 2020 or whatever, baka mapunta po yan doon sa kabilang bakod o sa basurahan. Okay. So that's our daily starter for today. Actually spending 10 minutes clearing off one shelf is better than fantasizing about spending a weekend cleaning out the basement. Let's now, go to the front page of the Philippine Star to update everybody on the news. And here we go. The headline of the Philippine Star, May 3, 2023. Biden, no better partner than the Philippines. U.S. President Joe Biden said he can't think of any better partner to have than President Marcos as they held a bilateral meeting on Monday, headlined by regional security issues spawned by China's aggressive activities, okay, in the South China Sea. And there you go. The photo is of President Marcos and U.S. President Joe Biden walking on the West Colonnade to the Oval Office following a welcome ceremony at the White House in Washington yesterday. Okay. Meanwhile, below that photo, you have a photo of President BBM meeting with members of the Filipino community at the Grand Ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Washington. Pinagkaguluhan yung mama. Okay. At the top of the front page, bivalents arrived this month, of May. IATF nixes mask mandates. Okay. The bivalent vaccines is arriving this month, the month of May 2023, while the Interagency Task Force on Communicable Diseases or infectious diseases, it does not support the mandatory wearing of face masks for now. Okay. Below that, we have an interesting article. U.S. sending first of its kind trade mission to the Philippines. Okay. U.S. President Joe Biden is sending a first-of-its-kind trade and investment mission to the Philippines to boost investments of American firms in the country's innovation economy and its clean energy and food security initiatives. We're going to announce today that I'm sending a first of its kind presidential trade and investment mission to the Philippines. So we do hope na tunay, okay, hindi 295 at magkatotoo sana at hindi puro press release. And let's pray for that. Meanwhile, speaking of prayers, you better start praying because Pag-asa, okay, issues El Nino alert. We've all been expecting it. Pag-asa has been talking about it. State weather forecasters yesterday issued an El Nino alert as the country faces the threat of dry spell. Vicente Malano, administrator of the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or Pag-asa, said recent conditions and model forecasts indicate an 80% probability that El Nino will start in June, July, and August and may persist until the first quarter of 2024. Patay na. Yan na po. Tagtuyot. Okay, so please be aware of that. The El Nino is not going to last for 3 months. It is expected to last until next year. So, there you go. Speaking of headaches, nakikiramay po tayo sa Manila International Airport Authority because their continuing woes with electricity and power seems to be perpetual. The Manila International Airport Authority will ask the government for a 1 billion budget for the purchase of power generators that will supply electricity in 4 terminals of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in case of a power failure. Okay. MIAA Assistant General Manager Brian Ko said yesterday. Ayon po, parang ang solusyon ay gumastos ng 1 billion for power generation. Buksan na kasi yung ibang airport. Okay, anyway. BBM to PhilAms come home to much better Philippines. President Marcos has expressed hope Filipino Americans would come home for good and retire in a much better Philippines, as he urged them to encourage their children to visit the country to explore its culture and history. According to Marcos, the government has a program called Bring Home a Friend, wherein Filipinos are encouraged to bring their foreign friends to the Philippines to support the country's tourism industry. Okay. And 2 police generals, 2 police colonels recommended for drug charges. Aray ko po. 4 ranking police officials have been recommended to be removed from the Philippine National Police due to alleged involvement in illegal drug activities. A 5-member advisory panel headed by former PNP Chief Rodolfo Azurin Jr. recommended the acceptance of the courtesy resignation of third-level officials, including 2 one-star generals and 2 colonels. Okay. Unfortunately, the Star has opted not to reveal the names of the officials, as the National Police Commission has yet to resolve administrative cases filed against them. Ayan po. Ang problema niyan, I am certain that the pundits will say, what? Ha? Recommendation lang, pero pag yung mga drug suspect, bang bang, patay, ay nako po. Last but not the least, Lexus Philippines launches its first fully electric vehicle, the Lexus RZ450E. The Japanese luxury brand commits itself to a more carbon-neutral future through this battery electric vehicle. Ayun po. Photo shows Raymond Rodriguez, Lexus Manila President, Vince Soco, Lexus Manila Inc. Vice Chair, Alfred T. Lexus Philippines and Lexus Manila Inc. Chair, and Senate President Juan Miguel Subiri at Suhiro Okamoto, Lexus Philippines President, David Go, and Preston Tan. Yan na po. Okay, so that about wraps up the front page coverage of the Philippine Star. As I always do, I encourage you to go buy your own copy and or go online and read the inside pages of the Philippine Star for more updates and information. We'll go for a quick break para I can catch my breath, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the program agenda, and thank you for staying with us. I'm sure that some of you out there have had issues regarding consumer products. Baka kanyo katulad kayo ng aming kakilala, ibinili, okay? Their son, who is working as a nurse abroad in Europe, bought them a 55-inch colored TV, modern smart TV, and exactly 1 year and 1 week after 1 year and 1 week after the warranty, the TV died. Okay, and the same thing happened to me. Someone gave me a hand-me-down TV. And I had it fixed, it was working, and after 1 year, same story. Now, here's the problem. When you go, and I'm talking about a Korean brand, hindi ko nasasabihin kung aling Korean brand to, when you call them for service, they will send a service team, but they will charge you 1,500 for the service visit. Okay. So, sige lang. Total, mare-repair naman yung TV mo. Unfortunately, in these two recent cases, I have not heard of others yet, but in these two recent cases, the team said, ay, sir, wala na. Board. Puro board ang papalitan, and it will cost you 55. The lady said 26,000. In my case, they said, I think, 50,000 or something. Sabi ko, di bili na lang akong bago, ganun din ang halaga niyan. But anyway, it didn't work. So I threw out mine because mine is really old. Hand-me-down nga. Kumbaga, pinamana lang. And then our friend who had that new TV, 1-year-old, she brought it to a tabi-tabi. Okay. A repair shop in Lipa, which fixed the unit for 7,500. Okay, so I've been asking around, and this has been a concern of many people. One person I spoke with brought his car to a shop in Banawe to have the engine replaced, which they did, and he was happy. But the problem was the shop couldn't provide the documentation. So the car owner couldn't register his car, etc., etc. So we have a friend in the Department of Trade and Industry. They are always proactive about these things. So we invited our regular resource person and friend at the DTI to help educate our viewers what to do and what is the situation out there regarding these things. Gabriel, if you would, please introduce our royal guest this morning.
Attorney Ruth Castelo currently serves as Trade Undersecretary. Under the DTI, Castelo heads the agency's Consumer Protection Group.
Okay, ang tipid naman ang intro na siga ng DTI. Yan ang tigapagtanggol ng bayan. Attorney Ruth, welcome back to the program.
Oh, hi Cito. Good morning. It's always a delight to see you. At na-miss kita. For a while, ang tagal natin di nagkita. I missed you, Cito, and your program.
Well, thank you very much. And we don't really try to bother you knowing all the consumer complaints that land on your table, including all sorts of stuff. But how are you and how is your job right now? Consumer affairs ka pa rin ba? Consumer complaints pa rin ba? O dumami na naman ang trabaho mo, Yusek Castelo?
Oh, yes. We're still in consumer protection. From before pa, I've been here for the last 2018, 5 years. In consumer protection. Pero syempre, yung trabaho natin Cito, padami ng padami as we go along. Kasi 'di ba, nadadagdag ang agricultural products, now we're being asked to monitor prices of sugar. Tapos yung vape law na binigay sa atin ang responsibility. So, we're really expanding our resources then and our manpower complement. Talagang minamaximize natin para magawa natin lahat yung mga kailangan gawin. Kasi especially on vape law now, alam naman natin na nakatutok lahat dyan para sa implementation nito. So talagang we're also doing our best. We just distribute our manpower doon sa mga priority issues natin. Pero ang problema, Cito, all of them are priority issues. So we do our best to handle all of them.
Kung sino yung ape and feeling ape, feeling siya rin ang priority. But I have to compliment you and your team and the DTI as well because I have heard a lot of good things and in fact, it has become quite common, almost normal na, that when someone posts a complaint about a consumer-related grievance, someone will always comment, complain to the desk of the consumer complaints of DTI because they act and they get things done. So your group has a very good reputation of acting on complaints and getting the job done. Now, you've already said lumawak or your scope of responsibilities and subject matter or issues have expanded. What is the biggest, let's call it a headache right now, or where is the highest number of complaints coming from?
We have top three. We always measure that every month. So we always have consistently seen the top three issues on consumer complaints. First is defective product. And second is deceptive product. And then the third is poor customer service. So these top three issues are have the most number of complaints that we receive every day. You know, Cito, I just want to tell you, even I myself respond to consumer complaints already because I personally open my official email and I receive a lot of them. So I have to respond to whoever is sending me the message and then include in the loop the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau so that any action that they require of us, we can immediately do.
Okay, so in terms of defective products, that's normal. Just from the sheer volume of products being sold, something will be defective or something will go wrong. But what is the most common, Yusek Castelo?
Defective products for home appliances. Home appliances, and sometimes, well, there are also a good number of defective product complaints on toys. Children's toys. They do not function the way that they are advertised, or they don't function the way that was promised by the seller.
Okay, and are these all generally sourced from online sales, or it's the same whether they buy it from store-bought or online? The defective products are they equal on both sides?
There are more complaints involving online transactions, meaning the goods are bought online. And then we also have a good number of complaints on goods purchased offline. The difference is kasi, of course, consumers do not physically touch or physically see or physically maybe test the product that they buy online. In physical stores, we call that offline transactions. Kahit paano nakikita ng consumer or nahawakan niya or na-try niya or na-test in the store. So there are less complaints on defective products bought in offline stores.
Okay, now online stores, what is the general complaint? Because actually, I've been meaning to ask you to come to the program much earlier, last month, when some friends were complaining about online sellers not posting prices like DTI requires, or there are no receipts. In particular, that was one complaint. How can we avail of online sales if they don't issue receipts and we can declare it with BIR?
That's right. You know, these are actually ancillary na lang to the complaints that we receive. A defective product, and then there is no receipt, or they do not even know where to complain for the products that they bought. So the receipts and all other issues become ancillary to the main complaint.
Okay.
And you know, I have to tell you, Cito, I have to admit, it's really a challenge to make online platforms and online merchants comply with the law. During the time of Secretary Lopez, he issued the joint administrative order together with other government agencies, guidelines on online business transactions.
Yes.
So this is a list of things to do for all online platforms and merchants. And then we also included there as an annex the list of products that are supposed to be regulated and cannot be sold freely online, as it is also in physical stores or in offline stores.
There are products that are not supposed to be parang over the counter. Hindi pwede.
That's right. On over the counter in physical stores, hindi ba you can buy medicine, you can buy paracetamol, you can buy allergy medicine.
Yeah.
over the counter without prescription. In online stores, the sellers need to have license to operate or license to distribute issued by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. But the thing is, we still see a lot of sellers selling these products. Ito na paracetamol is the smallest. But then there is also, you can find also fertilizers that are not supposed to be sold without the proper permits shown by the seller and the buyer. And then also chainsaw, you will see a lot of contraband, a lot of regulated products that are...
Yusek Ruth, does that fall under your responsibility also? Or isn't that DICT, or does the DICT have its own division to handle that? Kasi parang, wow, napaka-unfair naman kung lahat pasan mo.
Unfortunately, Cito, the Consumer Act says that all other consumer goods that are not under the jurisdiction of the Department of Health and the Department of Agriculture fall under the Department of Trade and Industry. So I have no choice but to make our team work more efficiently, despite, of course, a lot of challenges, all the challenges that we face every day, beginning from funding, budget, diba? All the other resources. But we make do. The Consumer Protection Group has around 300 personnel. We have around 300 manpower complement to service the National Capital Region. And then we have also small offices of consumer protection.
300 personnel. We have, 7,100 islands. Sabihin mo na lang na 1,700 lang ang populated. Underman pa rin kayo.
Cito, I need that kasi in the regional and provincial offices, maybe we have another 300 or less to service 120 million Filipinos. 100, ilan na ba tayo? 112?
Yeah.
So, sana nga, I will use this vehicle I will use your program na to appeal. Kasi syempre, ang consumer protection, the more people that we have, a population keeps growing, the more resources that we need for consumer protection.
Are you even able to track or record how many consumer complaints reach the DTI nationwide annually?
Oh, yes. Yes, we are. We do that actually monthly. We have a record of all consumer complaints and the nature and type of complaints that we receive every month nationwide. We gather.
How many do you get, or how many did you get for 2022, let's say, with a staff of 300?
In 2020, we begin from the pandemic muna 2020. In 2020, we received around 40,000 complaints. Hindi na siguro kasali doon yung those that are sent to me directly and that I am able to resolve for the consumer or for the complainant. And then in 2021, medyo bumaba na siya kasi because online transactions were less na because people were able to go out physically and buy their goods in the store. So 2022, now we have around last year we had around 25,000. This year, from January to April, we have received so far around 12,000 complaints, both online and offline. Ano na yun? Nakamix na yan. We have the data and we are able to track because we need to also measure the efficiency and awareness of the consumers.
But it's not just an issue, Yusek Ruth, of receiving the complaints. You have to refer the complaints, you have to investigate the complaints, right, and do the procedural action. On the average, you have any idea how much work it entails to address per complaint? Para lang maintindihan ng Pilipino kasi minumura yung mga nasa DTI. Hindi naman kayo minumura, but the impatience level is so high without people trying to manage their expectation. Mabuti pa nga sa pulis, sinasabi ng mga nananakawan, wala namang mahuhuli. Pero sa DTI, Hindi pwedeng walang mahuli ang DTI.
Oo nga, Sito. Alam mo, we measure productivity also. Like, for example, one lawyer or one mediator na lang, how many cases is he able to mediate in a day? So, binibilang natin yan. Sales promo permit applications also with us under the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. How many sales promo applications? Kasi ngayon summer na, di ba? So we have increasing number of sales promo applications. How many applications is one person able to assess in a day? It takes around an hour and a half daw to complete one para ma-recommend niya na for either for denial or approval. So in a span of like 8 hours, she would be able to do only 6. Kasi thorough naman yung review. Sito, hindi naman yan basta na lang babasahin tapos finish na. Syempre, they have to study and then look at the attachments, look at the requirements if they are complied with. So we're trying to the recent instruction that we gave to our staff in sales promo is to minimize to 1 hour na lang per document or per application para hindi na 1.5 so that the half hour mas madami pa siyang madadagdagan na magagawa, mare-review.
And in real terms, para kayong fiscal's office. You determine whether a complaint is legit, whether it has legal basis, and you figure out what action to take and who should take that action.
That's right. That's right. We have the mediation division under the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. Mediation is an informal discussion between the complainant and the respondent, and we try as much as possible to reach an amicable settlement so that the case will not have to be elevated into a formal charge. If that happens, kung hindi nagkasundo in mediation, the mediation officer will issue a certification to file action, and then the case is elevated to adjudication. In adjudication, there is a formal charge, there is a formal complaint, and then the respondent will have to respond na in writing. Parang ano na siya, we have a quasi-judicial power. This is a quasi-judicial function granted to the DTI.
Okay, well, Yusek Ruth, I think I will have to ask Gab to schedule a date with you again here on Agenda because I wasn't even able to do any real case presentation because of our full schedule today. But please do join us in in another episode and let's talk about it. But for now, you've made it clear that for 112 million Filipinos, 7,100 islands, Lulubog, Lilitaw, there are only 300 case officers for the consumer complaints group of the DTI. So if there are any congressmen, congresswomen, yung mga suki natin, please, pag-aralan naman niyo ito, suportahan natin ang Consumer Complaints Division of Undersecretary Ruth Castelo. Thank you very much, Yusek Ruth, and God bless the work of your hands, give you greater wisdom, patience, favor, and above all, protection. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Cito. Always my pleasure. Anytime, as long as it's you.
Okay, much appreciated. We will now go for a quick break. And when we return, let's go to our next topic. Pasensya po, pinagkakasya natin sa agenda because there are many concerns we have and we want to support many of the government offices, agencies, and especially programs that directly affect Filipinos. Let's now, Gab, do we go for a quick break or do we go straight to our next? Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, we all know that the temperatures have been rising. Summer is really here. Talaga lahat init na, pawisan na, and I'm sure so one day you will hear the word tigdas. Okay? And some people say, oh, it's just, tigdas sa araw, etc. But measles and all sorts of kids' diseases happen in this kind of extreme weather. And before you know it, uulan na naman, and then puro problema tayo. And it is good to know that the Department of Health and the national government embarked or launched, I believe, yesterday, a national immunization program which covers something like, ewan ko kung tama yung pagkabasa ko, 9.5 million target for children. So, Gab, if you would, let's introduce our honorable guest this morning. Please roll out the Betamax.
Dr. Maria Rosario Vergeire currently serves as Department of Health's officer in charge. She became known to the public as DOH spokesperson during the height of COVID-19 pandemic. Vergeire has been with DOH since 2007.
Okay, good morning, Yusek Vergeire. Welcome back to the program. It's been a long time.
Magandang umaga po, sir. Good morning to all of you.
Okay, magandang umaga, and the reason I requested this audience with you, if you would, kasi I am a supporter of immunization program. I'm pro-vaccine kahit na mag-away na kami ng mga kaibigan ko, because I grew up in a time where I had classmates who had polio. I had classmates who had severe cases of measles, chickenpox, and even my daughter had I think measles at one point, even if she had all the vaccines, nalulusutan pa rin. But I'm glad to hear you launched a nationwide program. Could you tell us, kasi medyo chikiting program ba yun, Yusek Vergeire?
Yes, sir. So we have launched this program. It's a supplemental immunization activity. We call it Chikiting Ligtas, Join the Big Catch Up, magpabakuna para sa healthy Pilipinas. This was planned even way back last quarter of last year when we were able to discuss with experts from WHO and UNICEF. Nagbigay sila ng analysis sa atin kung saan pinakita na ang Pilipinas po ay panglima among all countries in the world na pinakamadaming batang hindi nababakunahan. Ibig sabihin, with zero dose of any vaccine at all. Kaya po tayo talaga ay naglunsad nito. This is a supplemental immunization activity. Ibig sabihin, aside from what we do as routine immunization in our different health facilities, we supplement it by going house to house, by doing this community outpost para po yun pong mga namimiss natin, makita natin sila. And as you have said, we have targeted around 9.5 million children for this measles, rubella vaccine, and 11.1 million children all over the country for our polio vaccine.
Okay, Yusek Vergeire, we all know what measles is. Alam naman natin yung polio, yung napipila yung bata, pinapanganak na maiksi ang isang binti. But what is rubella and what does it do to a child?
Rubella is a form of this viral infection. It's the same family with measles. Kung saan ito po yung tinatawag natin na measles, it's a form of measles, parang mga German measles po yan tinatawag natin na ganyan. Mm-hmm. So it also affects our children. It also can lead to fever and other complications. Although kapag tinignan ho natin yung measles, yung mismong tigdas natin, siya po talaga yung nakakapag-cause ng mga severe complications, katulad po ng pulmonya, pagtatae, at marami pong mga kabataan dito sa Pilipinas ang namamatay dahil po sa tigdas.
Okay, and you mentioned yung German measles. I know na pag may na-report na German measles sa isang bahay, lahat ng buntis layas. Hindi pwedeng mapalapit ang babaeng nagdadalang tao with kids or patients of German measles?
There are studies po kasi and evidence will show that if you are transmitted with this kind of virus, especially when you're pregnant, it might cause complications, or yung mga tinatawag natin na yung sa ating mga bata sa sinapupunan ay magkakaroon ng ibang manifestasyon kapag sila ay pinanganak. So ito po talaga iniiwasan natin, especially for our pregnant women.
Okay, now yung program ninyo was launched yesterday. Sino po ba yung mga magdadala ng programa? Because when I was in Lipa, ay meron ako nakitang karatula, and they said, join the dream, zero polio. Tapos sabi ko, kala ko ba wala ng polio sa Pilipinas? Meron pa pala.
Opo, akala nga po natin ay wala na, kaya lang noong 2018 po, nagkaroon tayo ng outbreak dito sa Pilipinas ng polio. Kung matatandaan nyo po, last 2018, we did this kind of campaign also for polio, especially in high-burdened areas. Nakita po sa wastewaters din natin during that time na meron talagang nagsisirculate na polio virus. And ito po yung atin pong kinakatakutan because nakapag-declare na tayo na zero polio na tayo. So ngayon, we are at on that direction again to have our country be declared as zero polio. Kaya lang noong 2021, we had this risk assessment for polio outbreak. And it turned out na talagang tayo ay high risk pa rin for a polio outbreak because of the low coverage of immunization of our children.
Okay. Now, do we have enough resources? Meron bang mga volunteers or NGO participants to make sure that this additional or extra immunization program that na papatupad ninyo ay madaling magagawa?
Yes, sir. Actually, this is going to be done through a multi-sectoral effort again. It's going to be a whole of government and whole of society. We just signed a MOA with our uniformed personnel, with PNP. Tutulong po sila sa atin, especially in far-flung areas. The Department of Interior and Local Government has already issued a memorandum to all local governments for the support of this campaign. And also the private sector, napaka-importante po nakapartner natin, especially our medical societies, our private practitioners, na makasama natin sa kampanya para yung mga pasyente din po nila nahihikayat nilang magpapakuna.
Okay, so are there targeted areas kasi merong in the animal kingdom, pasensya ka na, alam mo naman ako ay farmer. In the animal kingdom, meron kaming tinatawag na hot zones. May mga areas kami na nako pare diyan, ang problema mo diyan ganito, ang sakit doon, ang problema mo ganitong sakit. As far as polio, rubella and measles are concerned, is it equally spread? Or are there areas of concern na dapat kahit ano pa ang mangyari, dapat lahat ng barangay kung kakailangan kalad ka rin ng mga bata, dapat mahakot because there is a higher possibility of polio, for instance, in that area?
Yes, sir. We have mapped out priority areas. Gusto natin, marating natin itong priority areas at mabigyan ng bakuna ang mga bata dito, and then we go palabas, no? Ginawa po natin yan kasi unang-una yung polio natin na bakuna ay hindi po sapat para dito sa isang buwan na kampanya natin. Kaya ito pong polio na pagbabakuna natin, itutuloy pa ho natin to maybe in the next 2 to 3 months. Kasi parating pa lang yung ibang supplies natin. So for the initial doses for polio vaccine, nag-identify na ho kami ng hotspot areas natin kung saan this was based on our wastewater surveillance, kung saan nakakakita tayo ng polio virus doon po sa kanilang wastewaters. At yun po yung mga batang babakunahan natin una. Para sa Tigdas naman po, we have identified several areas in the country na hotspots natin, and this would comprise different provinces and cities or municipalities across the different regions of the country. So pag tinignan ho natin, meron ho tayo from regions 1 to BARM na mga identified areas na uunahin po natin talaga.
Yusek Vergeire, medyo kinabahan ako sa sinabi mo dun sa polio, sa tubig. if a barangay gets its water from deep well or running water, yun ba yung mga danger areas or high-risk areas?
That's one of the main modes of transmission of polio, sir. It's orophycal, meaning you drink water which is contaminated, you get this virus. Kaya po tayo, hindi lamang po mga tao ang ginagawa natin ng surveillance, pati din po yung wastewater. Kasi po, ang oral polio vaccine natin, ipinapatak yan, and our children sheds it off. Nilalabas po nila yan sa dumi nila. And most of the time, kung meron man tayong madidetect sa wastewater, ito yung nag-shed off from our children, and this might cause the disease. Kaya po tayo slowly shifting to this new type of vaccine for polio kung saan injectable na po siya.
Ayun, okay. Kasi meron akong experience regarding deep well water, E. coli, high levels of E. coli affecting poultry. And nung tinrace back namin, the veterinarian, Dr. Carlo Ilagan, good morning to you, pointed to the fact na kuyang highly populated area pero walang wastewater management system. Lahat yan imbornal o lahat yan a septic tank free-flowing. So bumabalik sa water lahat yan. So sinasabi nyo like with polio, kanya pala issue yung water, yung drinking water and water sources.
Yes, sir. It all boils down to our hygiene and sanitation pa rin. Ano? So makikita po natin, especially in those areas na medyo may kahirapan sa sources of water nila, kapag po talaga hindi tayo nag-iingat at hindi maalam or walang awareness ang pamilya, we get to have this kind of diseases. Hindi lang naman po polio, marami pang ibang sakit na pwede makuha kapag madumi ang iniinom nating tubig.
Okay, now so it is a paano ba sabi ninyo? Multi-group operation, multi-sectoral undertaking. And there are hotspots. Pwede bang malaman kung alin yung mga priority areas? Not to brand them, not to label them. Kasi mga kaibigan, viewers, you need to know if you are at risk. Hindi po yung wag nyo sasabi personal nyo. Bakit kami lang ang tinuturo? Mabuti na yung malaman kong ako yung madidelikado kaysa sa tatanga-tanga tayo, di po ba? So, Yusek, are you all comfortable? Are you allowed to at least say what are the areas of concern for polio, for instance?
Well, I wouldn't want to divulge what the specific area, but I can say for yung region po, no?
Okay.
So we have in Region 11, also here in NCR, also in BARM, meron din po tayo sa Region 8, sa Region 5, meron din po tayo. So may mga hotspots po tayo dito na patuloy nating binabantayan. Hindi naman po sinasabi na because you were identified as hotspot, ay maduming-madumi na ang lugar o di kaya ay may mga problema tayo dyan sa area nyo. Ang problema natin talaga ngayon at kailangan ma-realize natin lahat, mababa po talaga ang coverage ng pagbabakuna ng ating mga kabataan. At yan po ay madali natin makokorek kung dadali ng ating mga nanay at tatay yung kanilang mga anak para pabakunahan.
Okay, and regarding yung mga alam nyo, Yusek, maraming mga mga gawagulo, mga chismoso, yung mga nagsasabi ko, huwag ka na magpabakuna, etc. Meron bang penalty na ngayon sa batas para doon sa mga gumagawa ng ganyang disinformation? Wala pa naman.
Wala pa ho kaming pagkakaalam, no? It's not we're not aware yet of any law na meron ho, no, for spreading this fake information. But what we just continuously do together with our partner agencies and partner in the private sector is to continuously make aware our families kung gaano ka-importante po ang pagbabakuna. Marami kasing nagsasabi na hindi epektibo, hindi mabisa, maraming side effect. Dekada na po ang gamit natin ng mga bakuna para sa mga bata. kahit po kayo siguro, pag nakikinig kayo, yung mga kayo, nung bata kayo, ay nakareceive din kayo one way or another of these vaccines. And this has been proven to be effective, they are safe, at nakakasalba po talaga sa mga posibleng pangit na komplikasyon ng sakit.
Okay. Well, in any case, Yusek, I'm sure that your program will be very successful and supportahan ta ka. Pero may tanong dito yung aming news desk, Yusek. How are we doing so far in giving out second booster shots for COVID? Kasi medyo nag-aalala. Biglang nakaalala yung mga marami.
Yes, sir. Actually, binuksan na natin yung ating second booster shots for our general population from 18 years old and above. Lahat po ng ating mga kababayan na nakareceive ng kanilang first booster dose 6 months prior, you can already receive your second booster shot. Ito pong ginawa natin, inilapit natin sa komunidad ang pagbabakuna ng COVID-19. Naka-integrate na po sa ating mga health center ang ating pagbabakuna. So it's more accessible for everybody. At ang aking payo po sa lahat, lalong-lalo na considering ngayon na medyo tumataas ang mga kaso, mas protektado po tayo kung meron tayong second booster shots.
Okay, now yung bivalent vaccines daw darating, what are they for, and are there no other restrictions na ibabalik due to the increase of COVID cases daw?
Well, the bivalent vaccine, sir, is dalawang variants ang kanyang tinutugunan. Yung original variant ng virus na ito at saka yung Omicron variant. Compared to our previous vaccine, which we call monovalent. Kasi ang ina-address lang niya po doon yung original strain ng virus. So mas advantageous ang bivalent because ngayon po, puro Omicron ang nagsisirculate. Although marami ng sub-variants, but still it's Omicron. So this bivalent vaccine, makakatanggap po tayo ng donasyon galing sa isang bansa na magbibigay sa atin. And hopefully, we have finalized our agreements with them already. Towards the end of May, hopefully it's here already. In terms of our COVID situation right now, alam ko po marami mga tao nagpapanik, maraming tao ang natatakot, and I always say hindi natin kailangan matakot as long as we know how to protect ourselves. Kailangan po kasi dito sa ating bansa, tumaas yung tolerance natin sa tuwing tataas ang kaso, nagpapanik, ibalik natin ang restrictions, ibalik natin ang pagmamas, ibalik natin ang lahat. But everybody of us has to learn how to live with this virus kasi it's going to stay with us for long. So kailangan lamang po talaga alam natin when to protect ourselves. So we highly encourage that people would opt to wear their mask, especially in high-risk situations.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that we are returning to the mask mandate already.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusek. Maria Rosario Vergeire, maraming salamat po for doing such a great job. God bless you, keep you healthy and happy. Basta happy ka, happy kami. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po.
Okay, that's Yusek Maria Rosario Vergeire of the Department of Health. Let's now close our program with this prayer from Philippians 1, verses 9 to 10, and this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in the knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ. God bless all of you. I do hope you will continue to keep us in your prayers, every member of Team Agenda, our family, and of course, pray for your loved ones, and I hope you get answered prayers. Please keep it here on One News.